Evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Pawtucket School Committee to order at 6:02. Ms. Liss, will you please take a roll call?
Ms. Bonello. Here. Ms. Carney. Here. Mr. Shalal. Here. Ms. Fernandez. Here. Ms. Grant. Here. Ms. Doobie.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I know this is a busy time for our students, so we don't always have the opportunity to get them here, but is there anyone from Charles E. Shea High School here? No? Okay, thank you. I look forward to meeting our new reporters in the fall. Is there a student from William E. Tolman High School here? Okay, once again, I know it's a busy time. Is there a student from Jacqueline M. Walsh here? Okay, wonderful. So you just come to the podium? Okay. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Nevaeh Senecal. I am a junior visual art major at JMW. Currently at JMW, we actually were able to hold our honors night in mid-May, which we were able to award over $10,000 in scholarships and inducted 37 juniors and seniors into National Honor Society, as well as 30 seniors into the Rhode Island Honor Society. We also held our prom at the Omni Hotel in Providence with a masquerade theme, and we're already looking forward to next year's prom. We have held all of our culminating arts programs other than the one tonight, which is our theater showcase from grades 9 to 11. While there is no door fee, donations are encouraged and enthusiastically accepted. The show is from 6:30 and should be running for almost an hour, I believe. Also, last Thursday, we held graduation for the class of 2024, where all 52 of our seniors crossed the stage to receive their JMW diplomas. This year's senior class had many incredible destinations, such as for students entering RISD, students entering Berkeley, and much more, making them JMW's most accomplished class. Now we are beginning our final exams, and we look forward to summer vacation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nevaeh, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Next, we'll move on to public participation. We have 3 people signed up. The first is Mr. Ron Beaupre.
Good evening. My name is Ron Beaupre. I am a 4th grade teacher at Agnes Little Elementary School. I am the president of the Pawtucket Teachers Alliance. I come to you this evening with some information that you may or may not already know. The Pawtucket School Department has decided that we no longer need reading and math interventionists in our schools. Instead, we have eliminated most reading and/or math specialists in our elementary schools and cut math interventionists in our middle schools. Instead, the Pawtucket School Department has replaced them with 13 instructional resource teachers or coaches. Today, principals were informed that these positions would be, quote, mostly coaching with minimal student support because, quote, teachers need to teach better. It was stated the union doesn't like it, but I don't care, end quote. Today, principals were told that those that will be selected after interviewing yesterday and tomorrow will not be given an assignment until after the assignment process. Instead, they will simply be told they have been selected to be a coach and will be assigned to a particular building. Principals had been informed when these positions were created that they would be focused on reading. Nowhere in the job description does it say a focus on reading. In fact, There's not even any particular certification requirement. Instead, a bachelor's degree in education or related field, master's degree preferred, with any valid teaching license. The only qualification. This is a full-time position with split focus between teacher coaching and support. Again, today, principals were told that the support would be minimal to students. Student-facing services are being eliminated. Student-facing services are being reduced while we're increasing class sizes with 78 layoffs of teachers and education support professionals. In addition to these 13 positions, there's a 2-page job description for an instructional resource teacher supervisor. It very clearly says that this person's job is to supervise the 13 instructional resource teachers with a salary range of $115,000 to $125,000, not including fringe. That's the salary. We have principals in the Pawtucket School Department who have staff members of over 50 staff and more than 300 kids in their schools that are not making $125,000. Yet we continuously hear that the Pawtucket School Department's budget is in jeopardy. I've heard it said a number of times that Ron Beaupre, the president of the Pawtucket Teacher Alliance, doesn't care about kids. I'm here to tell you today, these positions take away from student services. Students will lose out because we want teachers to have coaches. It is exceptionally problematic. We're going to fill classes to 25 and 30 students with no additional support for struggling learners. We need to look carefully at the $1 million in new salaries in the last year that were added to the central office alone, just in the central office, not student-facing support services, before we eliminate teachers and social workers, before we take away from kids. We shouldn't be operating under Reaganomics. Thank you.
Next signed up is, I believe, Ms. McClellan? Yeah.
Evening, I'm Liz McClellan, and I'm a second grade teacher at Baldwin Elementary School. Merriam-Webster has 14 definitions of time. Time seems so simple, but it's quite complex. Time can be given, taken, lost, spent, or enjoyed. When we're enjoying moments, it moves quickly. And when we're facing challenges, it moves slowly. However, in the most basic understanding, there are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 24 hours in a day. We all make choices for how we spend our time based on what we value, and it becomes a very personal thing, and I've made time for this. I've spent my time sitting at a majority of these meetings this school year. I have taken time to speak now at 3 of these meetings. I've been asked to give time. There are 4 days left in this school year. There isn't much time left. Considering the number of schools we have, if at least one person from each grade level in each of our schools needs something translated, that's approximately 100 people. If 100 people take 1 hour a week, that's 100 hours per week for approximately 42 weeks, meaning 4,200 hours every school year at the bare minimum are spent filling out forms, asking or emailing for, or even typing, copying, pasting, printing, and typing, copying, pasting, printing, translated items. It is done because this is what our students and their families need. It doesn't even scratch the surface of what our families need, because the most important things families need, translated, cannot be done by the teachers I just mentioned. Now I'm asking you to take the time to consider the following things that I've been asking for years, and I have some questions. Families are a crucial part of a child's education, together, every student, every day. Why aren't we ensuring they're included in the conversation? I have continued to ask for the Google login information page to be translated this year, as I have for the past 5 years. I've been told, yes, we should have that. It isn't my job, or another department's responsible for that. I've sent the emails and put in the trouble tickets in previous years. I've come before you and spoken twice here. It still hasn't been done. When will translations of this document be completed? Having only the report card grading system translated is an insult at this point. How are parents supposed to know what the grades mean if the standards they're graded on aren't translated? When can families expect to see a fully translated report card? Families don't feel welcome interacting in our schools. What is the district doing to change that? Simple changes such as adding a checkbox on the parent-teacher conference form to indicate that a parent would like an interpreter for the meeting would help. Sorry, I lost my place. Help to clarify how many interpreters are needed for that day. Speaking of parent-teacher conferences, both days are scheduled plenty of time, at least 8 months for the December and almost a full year for the March to make arrangements for the appropriate number of interpreters. There's absolutely no excuse for why we don't have enough interpreters available for the entire duration of scheduled conferences. There's plenty of time to figure out solutions that are not the call-in system. We are given 10 minutes for each conference, and calling in takes over half of that time. There has to be a better solution that does not make families feel like a burden. When will families be provided with reasonable accommodations and equitable access to participate in their child's education? When will we as a district require that any piece of information going home must be translated into necessary languages? Still, we receive information that's provided in English only. Sometimes Spanish is included, rarely Portuguese, and almost never in the other languages our families speak in the district. When will you create a policy to ensure vendors we work with will provide information in multiple languages? When will you create a policy to ensure that all information provided to families is translated into their home language? All stakeholders from the district, building administrators, or outside vendors or contracts should be made aware of the diversity we are so proud of in Pawtucket and invest in ensuring equity. It takes a village, and there is currently a wall in this village between the school department and our families due to the continued refusal to prioritize equity and inclusion. You say you hear us when we stand here. Hearing and listening are different. I'm not a quiet woman. Lots of people can hear me. When are you going to listen? It isn't that you are unaware, because this is my 3rd time here. It's not been important enough for you to put on your agenda to be discussed or to be given a deadline as to when it needs to be completed. Teachers have given time. We want to work with you to make these changes, yet we're here alone. When will you decide that our families are worth your time? Thank you.
Next is Ms. Nander.
Good evening. I'm not one that usually speaks in public, but we have Nathaniel Green. We want to give a plaque to one of our school committee members. The plaque reads, "In appreciation of Green General Backpackers." We want to present a plaque to Joanne Bonolo for all the work she does with the backpackers. Thank you.
Ms. Christine Bento.
Wow. Good evening. I'm not even sure where to start, but let's just go with the emails that I sent earlier this week. I did get a response from Ms. Grant, thank you. Although I still didn't understand why an evaluation is being asked for at this time, if you really haven't done one. You admitted in the email that one hasn't been done, only one since you've been on. How long have you been on the school committee? Yeah, and then I was asking, why is one being asked for now? But besides the point, I'm just gonna briefly touch on the other 9 a.m. issue that's on your agenda, because I've been speaking to parents all week in the community, and they didn't know that was happening, and I'm glad that it was brought up last time, because it's very disturbing to know that people are making those types of decisions. So I'm also going to say something, and I hope I make myself very clear. Because this superintendent has had, what, a year to try to fix what all of you allowed to be broken. And I can't seem to be able to wrap my head around the fact that we, the community, the lady said that we don't have a voice. Yeah, I'm a big one, and I'm usually here. I've been here for very long, and I'm going to be here long after most of you are gone. So I'm so surprised that we're supposed to trust some of these teachers run by the union president who says, everybody says I don't like, yeah, he stands for the teachers. That's what his job is. And I'm here to stand for the children and the families, which I'm highly insulted that anybody who spoke today would act like they care about our voices, because I've been coming here for years. Translation and all this stuff that I'm hearing coming from a teacher, all of a sudden, where have you been? Where have you been? She's only been here for a year. Were you guys complaining to the previous superintendents? No, but I was. I was asking for the same exact things, and my voice wasn't being heard. I'm a parent, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a voter, I'm an advocate. But all of a sudden, the teachers' voices and Ron's voice is so important. I'm completely baffled that we're trusting people to make decisions for our children, but the teachers and Ronnie boy over here is making decisions based on what the teachers want. All this extra money coming in, where he wants to put them. When basically we've got kids on the other side of town that needs the extra money and the extra, but he doesn't care about that. He cares about the teachers. Of course, he's the union president. Duh, that's what he's gonna do. At the end of the day, this superintendent is the boss to all of y'all. So I don't even know what the hell you guys are doing. None of it's making sense. You got people making decisions to let kids not come into the building after 9 a.m. unless they speak to a parent. Well, the parents are at work, so you're gonna just throw a child out and nobody knows where he is, and God forbid something happens to him. Who's gonna be liable for it? I'll tell you who, the taxpayer, when you guys get sued. Who is making any sense? You guys are supposed to be making decisions for children, and some of you are acting like children. I'm disturbed. You know, Ms. Bonolo, I'm gonna say something. I don't have a personal problem with you, but last time we were here and you mentioned the 9 o'clock thing, I don't even think you caught what you said afterwards. You said he's not that kind of kid. So no kid deserves to be locked out at by 9 because a parent can't answer the phone. It doesn't matter what color, where he comes from, who you know, who contacted you. No kid should be locked out of a school at 9 o'clock. I pay my taxes for those buildings. Who made the decision to say that a child can't come into school unless the parent who's at work, duh, again, where's the rationale behind that decision? I'd like to know. Somebody needs to take responsibility for that. And no, it's not gonna be the superintendent answering for some of these stupid things y'all been doing for years before she even came here. All of a sudden, there's an uprising. We have a problem here, we have a problem there, and you want it all to fall on her lap. She's only been here for a year, do the math. You guys can't be that stupid. Yeah, I'm sounding rude right now. I have to, because no one's making sense of anything. I sent out emails quietly trying to get answers to some of my concerns from last meeting. And the one person that did answer me didn't really answer me. So then you guys wonder why I come here and I'm loud and I'm rah, rah, rah. I have to. I'm not going to be ignored anymore. I've been coming to these student council meetings on and off for decades. I helped fight the lunch shaming. Thank you very much, Ms. Doobie, for making sure that every kid has a free lunch, because that was a long time in the making. And I'm glad that you stuck to that, even when I walked away from it, because the disrespect that was happening in this room. And guess what? I'm not gonna let it happen anymore. You guys wanna come over here and teachers need this and who cares? I'm saying it, who cares? How about what the kids need? Don't you sit here acting like translation needs to be happening. Get out of here with that nonsense. I've been saying it for years. Why don't all you sitting here that want translation and the diversity be respected, send an email over to your damn mayor who's got this city disrespected and racially divided.
you. Ms. Bento. Okay, we will now move on to recognition of District Teacher of the Year. Superintendent Royal.
Okay, good evening, committee members, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, family members, and dear students who we have in the audience. Can I please have Mr. Christopher Marnelli? Is he here today in his nice suit? All right. I'm gonna talk about you just a little bit, okay? That's fine. So it's an honor and a privilege to stand before you today to recognize an individual whose commitment, dedication, and passion for education have left an indelible mark on our community. We are here to celebrate Mr. Christopher Martinelli, the Pawtucket School Department Teacher of the Year Award recipient. So let's give him a huge round of applause. Since 2012, Mr. Martinelli has been a beacon of light in the halls of Slater Middle School. He has shared knowledge and ignited a passion for learning to his students. His dedication to teaching science, particularly to our multilingual language learner population, has been exemplary. He understands our students' unique challenges, and works tirelessly to ensure they receive the support and encouragement they need to thrive. His classroom is a haven where curiosity is nurtured and every student feels valued and inspired to reach their full potential. His proud principal, Danielle Bishop, has shared that since 2017, Mr. Martinelli has taken on the additional role of building mentor. In this capacity, he has been a pillar of support for new teachers, guiding them with wisdom and kindness. His presence is always felt. He is consistently prompt and present for every school day, ready to tackle the challenges and embrace the joys of teaching. High attendance. Thank you for coming every day. His colleague often speaks of his unwavering commitment, willingness to lend a hand, and ability to foster a collaborative and supportive environment. Mr. Martinelli influences extends far beyond the walls of his classroom. He has been instrumental in shaping the culture of our school, transforming it into a place where students and teachers alike feel empowered and motivated. His unwavering commitment to professional growth, both his own and that of his colleagues, has significantly elevated our educational standards, inspiring us all to strive for excellence. Today, as we bestow this well-deserved honor upon Mr. Martinelli, we not only recognize his exceptional teaching skills, but also his unwavering commitment to our school community. He embodies the qualities we hold in high esteem in our educators, such as dedication, compassion, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. He is a true asset to Slater Middle School, and we are incredibly fortunate to have him as a part of our team. Mr. Martinelli, your hard work, your dedication, and your passion have not gone unnoticed. You have made a profound impact on the lives of countless numbers of students and have been a beacon of inspiration to your peers. On behalf of the entire Pawtucket School Committee and School Department, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude and extend our warmest congratulations. Thank you for all that you do, and congratulations on being named Teacher of the Year. This honor is truly well-deserved. Let us all join in, give him a warm round of applause, and thank you for all that you do. Congratulations.
Our next item is the approval of previous meeting minutes, 5/14/24. The motion from Ms. Grant has been seconded by Mr. Shalal. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item we have is an old business discussion action items, removed from table, 234 million, approval memorandum of agreement, MOA 5 revision. So a motion to remove from the table by Ms. Bonolo, seconded by Ms. Grant. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now on the 234 million approval memorandum of agreement, MOA 5 revision. Just a little bit of history. I think everyone was here, but at the last meeting, we had questions about the roofing projects, and we asked to have a more sufficient look at those roofs. That's the thick section of your binder there. And we are going to call up Assistant Superintendent Ramsey and Colliers to walk through the what that finding was after looking at the different roofs.
Evening.
Good evening.
So MOA 5 was presented to you last time, and like you reiterated, Mrs. Doobie, you asked us to go out and to have our roofing companies take a look at the roofs of the other couple schools. They did, and you have that in your packet. It has been, to summarize those roofs in the report, it indicates that the roofs of the original schools have surpassed their life expectancy, and as such, the membranes are deteriorating. And as noted in the report, Cunningham and Slater, which were the schools in question, are aging, but are repairable to a point where their life expectancy is within 5 years. So they haven't yet surpassed their life expectancy. So at that, we would consider, or not consider, we would like to improve and replace the repairs. We would like to replace those roofs at Slater and Cunningham as identified in this document. However, we will need to, we're hoping we can move forward with MOA 5 as written and then make an MOA 6 so we can adjust the roof projects for those other two repairs. And those would be in a quicker time frame as their repairs.
A motion to approve. Mr. Shalal, seconded by Ms. Carney. So just to clarify, you said that there would be repairs done in the near term on Slater and Cunningham and complete roof projects done.
On the other three.
On the other three,
original
okay.
three that are listed in
Okay,
MOA 5.
thank you. Ms. Manila.
I know now we have Colliers here as our OPM, but back in the day, they did not. So who is responsible? I read some of the comments that was put together in this report, and some of them mentioned that it was the process of when they made the roof, or when they placed the roof on, that it was their error in construction, or whatever you choose to call it, roofing, that caused the leaks and things like that. So who is the person, now we've done Jenks, we've done Little, so who is the person with the expertise that goes up on the roof and makes sure that the contractors that we pay has done a correct job without error that will cause us issues down the road?
Okay.
Good question. So now, the process to get a warranty on a roof now is that the actual manufacturer, after installation from the subcontractor comes out, they do their inspection, and then they give you the warranty. If there is ever an issue after that warranty is given, then the manufacturer would be called out, they would do their inspection, and then determine the cause of if there were a problem. So I think that is the process in place. So I guess to answer your question, it would be the manufacturer who would come out, do an inspection, and then provide a report.
So is the warranty standard 10 years or 20 years?
For what roof? Which one? I mean, I think they're all different, but usually they vary more from 20 to 30 years is what.
So I know they did Curtis while I was still on the committee, and Curtis is one of the ones that is in significant need of repair. So how long of a contract did that have on it?
We can look into that. I don't have that information
would.
today.
If you would. Thank you.
We received this documentation this afternoon. I think it's very disrespectful to the committee to expect us to receive this documentation on the day of the meeting in the afternoon when some have work, some have families, and that we're expected to vote and make these decisions. I have not reviewed it. I personally don't feel comfortable making any decisions on this tonight because, as Ms. Bonola just said, she had read something. I haven't had a chance to read it. I thought we were supposed to receive our documentation that was on our agendas with at least 24-hour prior to a meeting. If not, then I think it's something that we do need to give to policy. But I do see that from Colliers and from construction, we're always getting our items on the last minute. We're always expected to vote on these things, and I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. So I tonight won't be voting on this because I haven't had time to review it. And last time, if it wasn't for Ms. Carney, Ms. Doobie, Mr. Charbonneau bringing up certain points, you know, we aren't roofers, we aren't contractors. We're people who try to come in here and do the best we can, and we are supposed to make these decisions and we're supposed to be held to it. But if no one gives us the respect of giving us this documentation within a good amount of time, then, like I said, I think this whole process on this was very disrespectful. And I refuse to vote on this tonight because I don't believe that we received proper time to go through it, and I haven't had a chance to go through it.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. And I will look into the policy to see what our exact policy says and definitely communicate with the chair as well about whether we want to put, if it isn't in policy now, whether we want to have it listed in policy that items that do not have documentation within 24 or 48 hours, whatever we set up. But I will look over that policy in our bylaws. Ms. Carney.
I appreciate you doing all of the roofs per our request. I am disappointed to see that there are some mentions to Ms. Bonola's point, like incompatible materials or things that shouldn't have been screwed in a certain way. And I just, to that point is, I would like to say that we would have our eyes on it besides just the manufacturer. You know, if we're looking at this now and can see plainly that it's not done correctly, then it shouldn't get to the point where there's so many things that are just done incorrectly. The other thing is, could you explain too, as far as the version 5, if we were to vote on that tonight, what does that mean to, like, why would we redo a version 6 if we voted on a version 5 to approve? Or what would that look like? Anyone who can answer.
So MOA 5 has been presented to you, tabled and untabled this evening. MOA 5 has things beyond roof projects and a delineation for that. So as to move those projects and all the others that were in MOA 5, and to also recognize the identified repairs, we would need to do just a quick 6 to incorporate those repairs later on, as soon as next meeting, now that we have this documentation. But to move forward with MOA 5, that was removed from the table this evening, would move other projects forward, the ones that were identified for action.
course.
There's a motion to approve. It's been seconded. Ms. Bonello?
So I did get a chance to look through it. I didn't get a chance to read it all. However, there's some things there. There was a stand that was attached through the roof assembly, which shouldn't have been done. There was an antenna that was broken off that was still laying on the roof. There was another rooftop fixture that was out of place. It had removed itself from the roof and was half on the roof. Now, why, aside from all the junk that's up on the roof, why is all that stuff on the roof and hasn't been addressed? I know our people have been up there, so why wasn't it addressed? You know, if the antenna's not used, take it off the roof, instead of leaving it to put holes in the roof. So I'd like to know why that's not happening.
Me too. But I could absolutely look into it, because if we're going up on the roofs to repair certain things, then why aren't we taking off the debris that's up there? So it doesn't show up in some pictures. I understand, and I will work with our facilities department to get you, A, that answer, and B, a process to correct it.
And a motion to, Ms. Fernandez?
So I agree. I haven't had the opportunity to look at this either, and I think the order in which of importance that this states is Varia, Curtis, Fallon, Cunningham, Slater. And if I'm gonna vote on something like this, pushing those schools that often need the most to the bottom of the list, I would want the chance to look at this, because I know oftentimes we hear Varia gets everything, Varia. And Varia may very well need the roof more than some of the other schools, but I would want the opportunity to review this before voting on it as well.
Can we can we amend the motion to approve the MOA 5 for the other projects? Because I really would hate to see, is it like all or nothing? Because I would hate to see those projects not move forward.
Can we have callers explain what we're doing right here with MOAs, and just to clarify what the process is and
At this point,
how it goes to RIDE and whatnot?
I think the next meeting is the 27th, right? I think take the time to look it over, because it is a long process to approve the MOAs, right? So I'd rather, get the committee fully invested into what we are submitting to RIDE, because then it goes from RIDE to to council. So it is a process. So I would hate to do an MOA 5 and then, 3 weeks later knock on their door, say, hey, here's MOA 6. So I'd prefer to get MOA 5, like exactly what the committee wants to do.
I just mean, can you just clarify? Because I think we do, I know people have been on for, a year and a half or something, but just to clarify, because I know we've been through several MOAs and how this bond money works and how we keep on going back and saying, oh, we came in a little less here, so we now have additional money in that band. Basically, how the RIDE approval, because what we're doing here is we're saying to RIDE, can you approve these projects to be reimbursed?
Correct.
Essentially, like when we do them, can you reimburse them? Because we could just go and do whatever roof project we want now, but every time we want to actually have RIDE reimburse us, they make us kind of say, okay, go in, list your projects, say how you're using the bond money, et cetera. And we keep on coming back with different ways of saying, okay, we have a little more bandwidth. So I'm kind of getting there, but I feel like you could probably do it better than I can to explain what we're doing here.
Essentially, we have an approval, right? And this is it's the term that we keep throwing around, 234 million. So it's this umbrella of approval. It's not money, it's approval. And basically under that umbrella, we're able to do all of these projects that total out to that 234. And the key is for that 234 to stay 234, right? We're not asking for additional money. We're just either reallocating depending on the needs. Maybe we receive some bid savings and now we're reallocating those bid savings to other projects, so we're able to do more projects. So we do those projects under the umbrella of the approval. And once that's complete, then we submit for reimbursements at the end of June as the projects are completed. And then we're able to get the reimbursement ratio depending on what that is for the district right now is 83%, so we get 83% back for every dollar that we spend.
I just wanted to clarify why you can't, there are a lot of projects in here and why you can't say like, we'll just say to RIDE, we have about 50 million that we don't know what we're doing with yet, but can we approve of the rest? Like, they're not gonna, they need to see it as a full package.
Exactly.
Okay, Ms. Manolo?
Correct.
How long will it take you to revise MOA 5?
I could do it tonight.
Okay, motion to table?
It's been seconded by Ms. Grant. Roll call on the motion to table.
Ms. Bonillo? Ms. Carney? Mr. Shalal? Ms. Fernandez? Ms. Grant? Ms. Doobie?
Yes. Okay. It's been tabled, and thank you for the presentation and explaining. Okay, we'll now move on to new business discussion action items, recall of certified educators. We have Ms. Lofton. Yep, there we go. Thanks.
Good afternoon, school committee. How are you? So I am here to seek approval to recall 2 social workers at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions for you, and I also have Dr. Andre here if there are any questions specific to social workers.
Approved by Ms. Bonillo. It's been seconded by Ms. Grant. I saw Ms. Grant had a question, and Ms. Bonillo.
What schools? It doesn't state what schools the 2 social workers are being recalled to.
Yep, so that's a really challenging question to answer at this time because we want to be respectful of the assignment process, which will then determine where those particular persons will go to. So it wasn't necessarily a cancellation of a particular program at a certain site. There was many other variables such as resignation, retirements, a leave of absence. So it's not really one particular school or program.
So I just want to be clear. So both these positions, both these social workers are in a particular school right now, but they both need to go to the pool. They won't be keeping the position that they have right now.
That is partially correct. Yes, they were involuntary transferred. So that will be the next level. So first, if we recall tonight with your approval, both of those individuals will receive an involuntary transfer.
When you say that, just to kind of clarify, what is the definition of an involuntary transfer for people who don't know?
Well. So we may have to call upon our union president there, because this is a CBA, right? Come on up, Ron, help us out here. Don't leave us hanging. You know we're partners. We're in this together. Remember you said that. Come on.
We did a lot of work on this.
We sure did. And you know what? We're still learning. Come on, Ron.
An involuntary transfer is a direct.
This is a team effort, by the way. Come on, Ron. Look at Ron.
It is contract language. It is found in Article 4 of the contract, and there's a specific definition. I don't have the contract in front of me to read it to you. I could go get it if you'd like me to. However, it is a directed transfer based on the fact that either a position has been discontinued, and there is another position for which that person is certified somewhere in the district that they will select. It could be a directed transfer due to the fact that someone is returning from leave and they were currently filling a 1-year position based on someone that had been on leave that is returning. So there could be a couple of different reasons why someone is involuntarily transferred.
No matter what, these 2 social workers will receive social work positions within the district?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that I can answer.
Okay.
For sure.
All right, thank you.
So I have heard rumors.
Uh-oh.
We pink slipped 5 social workers. And I have heard that we are not bringing them all back to full-time positions in specific schools, that some of them are coming back and they're only having half-time positions in one school and half-time positions in another school. So that rumor or whisper or whatever you want to call it, is deeply disturbing, given the mental health crisis in the country, never mind in the city of Pawtucket. So what is the validity of that rumor? Will we be calling our social workers back to schools? We took them away from 5 schools. Will those 5 schools get another social worker?
So there are no half-time positions, so that rumor is null and void. So I'm happy to report. Each school program will have 1 full-time social worker in each program.
Yes, but
Those
like
half-time,
Slater has 2 social workers. Tolman has more than 1 social worker, I believe. So you've eliminated, like, you took 1 out of Slater. You don't know if she's going back to Slater. Are you saying that some of our schools will not have 2 full-time social workers? Because I've seen the incident reports where on multiple occasions, we've had to send more than 1 student to a hospital and take them out of the school, and it's the social worker's job to follow that child. So if we're down to 1 social worker and 2 students have a dysfunction of some type, and they need, who is the person who is going to take care of these children? That's what I want to know.
So what I can share with you as far as this recall list, right? So we're here for approval for this. And as I stated last week, or the last meeting that we had, when we presented the 78 pink slips, and there was deep discussion about the recalls. And so we said that at that time, we're having it early, the assignment process, so which we could gather together literally the next day and begin to see what vacancies are available so that we can start doing the recall list at that time, right? So I think at this point in time, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Andre because he oversees the social workers, I just don't want to be premature in saying what will be at a school before we actually know what the allocation will be and what the vacancies will be until we actually get there. But it is our goal to try to recall as many as possible.
Mr. Hill, did you have a question? Oh. Okay.
Thank you. So I just have a question. So is it possible is this it for social workers to be recalled? I understand there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but as far as the social workers, it's just these 2. There's not.
Now,
For right.
at this
But
point.
the process still isn't over.
It's an
so
ongoing
SMART could-
process.
Okay, I just want to understand. All right, thank you.
Right, Ron?
Thank you.
It's an ongoing
Yeah,
process.
the little background behind it, we have the big assignment process that we keep talking about. Then we have this mini assignment process, which I'm not sure when that actually started, that process started.
It's optional.
And it's optional.
Not necessary to
Okay.
have a mini assignment.
And the advantage of doing this mini assignment process, which really parallels the entire process, is to focus just on the related service providers, which impacts about 105 educators. That's 105 educators that need to attend the big assignment process. So it makes it a little bit more efficient. Is that a good way of explaining it?
Yeah. Mr. Schlaf?
To my question, you know you need the social workers, the school committee is telling you that it's a priority. I don't want to speak for all 7, but this school committee is telling you that's a priority. So I just want to know why didn't you just bring all 5, how many did we lay off? 5. So why didn't we just bring them back this time around? But it's you've already explained it to everyone else, it's a process.
Right.
But it is a priority from this school committee to get every social worker back. And to Ms. Grant's case point, I think we need to get them back to their schools that they just need to have a school assignment because it's a priority of the school committee to have social workers, as it is to yours too, I'm sure. But I just didn't know why they didn't come back on this recall. You know you're gonna need them, just bring them back. But if there's rules, there's
Right.
rules.
So there's a process with the leave of absences, retirements, and things of that nature.
Gotcha.
So.
All right, thanks.
And a motion to approve, it's been seconded. Ms. Leslie, please take a roll call.
Ms. Bonolo? Ms. Carney? Mr. Shalal? Ms. Fernandez? Ms. Grant? Ms. Doobie?
Yes. Motion carries. The next item is review of design and budget for Baldwin furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of one-year optional renewal of life insurance contract with Minnesota Life. Our controller, Mr. McGee.
Good evening. I am here seeking approval for a one-year extension or a two-year extension. Essentially, this is a continuation of the current life insurance policy that the city of Pawtucket, in tandem with the school department, received a 5-year rate confirmation. So the initial report was sent out 2021. The rate is a rate lock until 2026. I do have a question why it was only approved for 3 years. If someone has the answer, I'm just curious. Is it? Okay. Being the new guy here, I just wanted to know. So yes, we have a 2-year option left. We can approve it for 1 year or we can approve it for 2.
Okay.
I would prefer to approve it for 2. As much as I enjoy standing up here in front of you. If I don't have to do this again next year, that'd be great.
I think you can approve it for 2. You can only do it one at a time. Yep, 1 year at a time, state law.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and it's written on the agenda as approval of one-year optional renewal. And I do believe, I mean, we could have legal clarify, but I do believe those renewals have to go 1 year at a time. Yes, okay.
I will
Yeah.
see you here next year.
Okay,
I
wonderful.
love seeing all your faces.
But, motion to approve by Ms. Vinolo. Seconded by Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalal. Seeing no discussion, Ms. List, will you please call a roll?
Ms. Vinolo. Ms. Carney. Mr. Shalal. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Ms. Doobie.
Yes, motion carries. Now we have our screen time. Review of design and budget for Baldwin Furniture, Fixtures, and Equipment Package. Just a note here, we are going to have a presentation on the review of design and budget. As you can see, D is an approval to seek RFPs for this same package. However, so this one is not going to be an item that we actually have any motions on. It's just to present, and then if we feel like we are given, or if some people feel like they've been given enough information to move forward with RFPs, we can. Otherwise, we can pass on that next item to have a little bit of time to think it over. So once again, this will just be a review and discussion item at this point. Maybe we shouldn't have unplugged it.
So good evening.
Good evening.
Very excited today to present, to this body the furnitures, fixtures, and equipment package, drawings and budget. This presentation today is a result of many months of visioning sessions with PSD teachers, faculty, and staff. And this was done to ensure that the needs of the schools, the teachers, and ultimately the students are met, and the furnitures, fixtures, and equipment is conducive to a learning environment. So it is our hope today that we can get final thoughts from this committee for finalization of the design and the budget. And before I go into the design, I want to review the budget really quick, just so you guys have some context as you guys are seeing the presentation of the furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. So, the FF&E RIDE budget that's provided if a project is approved today in 2024, RIDE is given $2,100 per student. When Baldwin was approved back in 2019, the budget was $1,187. So there's a significant delta there of roughly $900. Our actual estimate is landing at about 1,516 per student. That's where we are today. So the delta from our budget to where we're landing today is $329 per student. So the budget overall, we have 840 students projected for the school. So the budget is 996,800. But the estimate's coming in at 1.274. So that's where we are. So we're over by $277,000. Now, it is our hope that through the competitive bid process, that we're able to reduce that delta, hopefully. It's not a promise, but we're hoping that we can reduce that delta so it's not $277,000. But it is important to state that.
Just to clarify, for the committee, so you're saying your estimate, based on what you're putting together, is this?
Correct.
We would then go out to bid and see what people are actually saying it is, and you're hoping through the competitive bid process that it might not be as high as what you're estimating. Okay.
Correct.
And Ms. Grant, you have a question?
Today, when we vote on this, I guess, I don't know if it's a question for legal or for someone, but we're just voting to go out for RFP,
Yes.
correct? We're not voting on the amount. We're not approving that they can spend.
And we don't
the
have to
whole
vote on that either. Right now, we're just gonna have the presentation on what they are envisioning for the furniture, which we would then give to the bidders and say, please bid on this envisioning. And then we'll get the numbers back, and I guess at that point might have to make decisions
Correct.
around that. Thank you.
I do want to sort of finish stating that we do have project contingency that can cover the delta today. Say if we were to buy it today, we do have the money to cover it in our contingency, but again, we're still hoping that we can really bring this down and bring it more towards the budget that was approved. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Christine Hopkins, who's with Matthew Design. She's under Torado, and this is her expertise. She'll run us through the building. Christine.
Thank you. So, let's see if my clicker works. Good. We're going to start you off with the administration area. It's the first entrance as you walk into the building. And I see that you all have the cut sheets of it, so you've reviewed it previously. You know, the office furniture is the L-shaped desk, you get a side chairs, you get a conference chair, and some filing cabinet. And basic furniture for an office. And then we have 3 conference facilities in the building. One right off of the administration area on the left, it's a seating for 8. And the second floor has a larger conference room, seating of 12. And there's a small parent room adjacent in the admin area. Yep.
What was the covering on those seats?
The covering, well, we're going to, it would be a Neotex high-density fabric with the colors that goes along with the whole building theme.
Okay, because this just shows,
Okay, the pictures are
Okay.
just similar, you know, not
all
the
right,
actual.
because I don't want a light color that's going to get dirty.
Oh, don't, no, the carpeting and all that, no, this is just the manufacturer print and what the, so these manufacturer pictures, they're from the catalog. And we have these support offices throughout the buildings on the first and the second floor for the emotional support, the psychologists, special ed, focus room. Basically, it's the same theme of the furniture in the admin area, so things could be moved around if necessarily be. We have parent-teacher planning and breakout rooms. They have little kitchenettes. Not going to show it, in each of, on one of these, on each floor, second floor and the first floor, with a full-size refrigerator. The first floor is more of that rectangular shaped, and it has a couple of chairs and tables, whereas upstairs we have a larger room, and it has a banquette. And again, it's similar, just like showing kind of the conceptual of the look of the room.
These pictures, is any of this furniture accessible? I know a couple of years ago, we had a speech teacher in the district who would go from school to school, and she was in a wheelchair. And she has since retired, but God willing, everyone stay healthy, you know, but, you know, we want to make sure any teacher or anyone working or anyone coming from out of the district, someone coming into our district, make sure they feel comfortable also. So do we have is the thought
All
of
of the
accessibility?
furniture, the tables are adjustable, but I mean, these are standard height, 29 inches high. You need 27 inch from the floor to the top of the, underneath of the bed, of the table, I mean, and 30 inches wide. And everything that I specify always has to have ADA compliance. So a
Okay.
handicap chair can go underneath these tables.
Okay, I just want to.
Yeah, no,
And
it's
also
kind of
for
our thought
Yeah,
and our
and the
design.
same thought for the students too.
Yes, yes,
That
and that's how-
they,
yes.
God forbid, you know, they break a leg or something.
As you'll see in the floor plans, I put ADA symbols on them so you can see.
Okay, thank you.
That's part of our job, actually, is to make sure everything is ADA compliant.
Okay, no, thank you.
So, and we have a cafeteria seating that could seat up to 245. They have flip-up tables, and they wanted the benches as opposed to individual seating for the younger kids. And we have, again, there's ADA compliant round tables for handicap access. And if you don't have somebody with a wheelchair, because I think I have 12 positions or 10, you can use the stacking chairs that are going to be used for the auditorium to seat 320. So the cafeteria tables and chairs move, and you can put the stacking chairs to make it assembly. Multifunctional. Nurse suite, your standard nurse's suite with 3 cots, a nurse office, and some medical cabinets. This is the custodian, working room, storage, tool storage, work tables, lockers. Here we have some specialty classrooms, the intervention, MLL. They wanted the horseshoe tables and desks for each of the teachers and little functional seating for ottomans and regular seats. And the special ed, we also have all of the equipment for special ed needs for helping the students exercise. This is a pre-K kindergarten classroom. They have different style seatings, round tables, squiggle tables, rectangular tables, and you can see there's always a handicap position in each one of these classrooms. For this grade level, they're 24 inch to the top of the floor to the top of the, underneath the desk, whereas elders is 27. And these tables are always all adjustable. So you can see here at the bottom, those are the different types of tables, so that the teachers asked that they could have 3 rooms the same and 2 rooms the same, so that they could switch their furniture if they want to move and change out their classrooms. Each classroom has a rug. They have little pods to sit on and different chair heights to work with the tables, because all the tables are adjustable with different sized children. The pre-K and kindergarten have the little play stations. And then on each floor for the pre-K first, go ahead, do you want to go back?
You have a sand and water station.
Yeah.
Is that going to be cleanable?
They're in every school.
Are they?
And yeah, you just dump water into it. It's not hooked up. And they're plastic, and they can be picked up and moved out.
Okay.
The kids love them. Well, the floors are all luxury vinyl tile or VCT tile, so they're not carpeting or anything like that, you know, so it's all washable.
So they'll withstand the water?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
These are I've worked on maybe 25 schools, maybe more. They're in every classroom, but for the lower grades.
Just to be able to better record the notes, if side discussions can be kept.
Oh, sorry.
No, just to a minimum.
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Pass. Each floor plan on the ground floors for the lower grades, they have common areas. So they have a little sectional, a rug, and a very low table with pods around it. And the teachers requested storage cabinets in these areas so they could store their classroom play or tools to not have to keep moving them from their own classroom. And that's just a perspective floor plan. Teachers, they get a stand-up podium with storage, whiteboard, storage, cabinet, desk, and desk chair. A second and third grade, and then fourth and fifth, you have your standard desk with a book box, and then you'll see the ADA tables, different height chairs so that you have the taller kids and lower kids, but all the tables are adjustable. Teachers wanted the horseshoe tables for additional seating from the standard classroom size. And here are the common areas for the higher grades, and they can accommodate 2 classrooms, and it has a variety of seating, talking, private seating, group seating, and a perspective plan. We have the UArts and the arts. You got your basic art tables, your stools, storage, demo tables, and seating. Music and gym. You have your same music chairs, flip forms, and mobile healthcare storage. We have the media center, which we have 3 different areas. A STEAM area with some sinks that's on the top section, and then the lower grade area with a sectional, and again, the floor pods. And then at the bottom section is for the higher grades, with round tables and some more floor pads. And multiple bookcase, some mobile, some up against the wall, some standard size. Lower always in the middle, higher up against the wall, so that the teacher can see the whole library. Basically, that's it, and it's just the floor plans.
I'm sorry, I know I had my back turned. I hope there weren't any questions. Ms. Grant?
So when we go out for RFP and we pick a company, will these companies come in and work with our staff? For example, it looks like, certain styles and things are picked out, but, unfortunately, we know people do have some back problems, and, we want to make sure everyone's comfortable. We want to make sure the students are comfortable. Are these companies going to be able to come in and, speak with this isn't, or this particular brand isn't what they have to get, correct? I'm assuming these companies are gonna come in, the teachers are gonna be able to try a few chairs, they're gonna be able to look at the mats that the kids will be able to sit on, have a couple of options.
Yeah, so we did that earlier. That was probably in the early stages, and we let teachers try out some furniture pieces.
Okay.
That's why I said it was like a long time coming, because it was, we were getting a lot of feedback as to what things to use. For example, like the cafeteria, the benches, winters, they're falling apart. Some teachers don't like it, so, lessons learned from that, we're gonna do the benches here. So it's been a long time coming. We did do that at the beginning, so that's what what we're presenting today is what we want to go with, depending on what the committee is saying, and then we'll go out to bid. And once we go out to bid and we present a certain vendor, they'll give us like what the actual vendor, the specifications are, because this is just sort of concept. I don't know if I answered your question correctly.
I think I misunderstood.
Okay.
I think I just thought I didn't realize these were the actual items. And I want to make sure that if the kids do sit on the floor, that, you know, but if the teachers have determined or have seen options on rugs to make sure there's a little cushier one than another one, I want to make sure that those options, I didn't know if we were going into the RFP and then the options were going to be determined. But
Yeah.
the options have been decided already.
Yeah, like for
Okay.
example, there's a table that teachers really, really like. It's a writable one, so students could sit at it, and I think they tested it at Winters. They could sit at it, they'll do group activities, and then they flip it over, and then they're able to present it. They really like that one. It's more expensive, but if it's helping the learning environment, then, that's why we've included it in this package.
Definitely.
So-
I just want to make sure everyone is happy with what they're getting and that they have spoken to people who really know the comfort or know what the better product is. I just want to make sure the kids and everyone's, in good shape.
That's my job. Sure.
Yeah. Ms. Bonolo, do you have a question?
So, I had gone through this room 2620. It's an intervention classroom. It's on page 17 of the price list. There are 3 bookcases, but there's only 1 teaching easel, and it needs to be 3. And on the storage cabinets, it's calling for 2, and it should be 3 as well.
When you say should be, do you mean according to a different spec sheet, or?
According to the principal.
Just in addition to, so for
In addition
example,
to.
she's referring to the storage cabinet that's referenced in
So
this.
you mean it's written wrong?
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, they want to add it, so each teacher there's 3 teachers, so they want each teacher to have a own storage cabinet and their own easel.
Okay, so, well, we're not approving this right now, we're still in discussion. So technically, any of this during this discussion could be modified, and then that's why we have it as 2 items. The next item would be the approval, the SIG proposals for whatever comes out of this discussion. So, is it, according to, your discussions, is that correct? This is what this should be?
So Ms. Bonolo sent us an email, and so we just have to add it to the estimate. We can add, if that's something that we want to do, we can add 2 more easels. That's no problem.
Well,
And
we
one
don't, this
storage.
is an item that we can approve that. This is a review of design and budget, so it's not a, approval. So I think we could, under the next item, once we're finished with discussion, we could say we vote to approve a seek for RFP with an amendment to the document. But, Ms. Royal, is this something that, your team has already looked over as well, or? Okay, so, it was 3 easels?
And 3 storage cabinets.
Okay.
Question, you have shelving units. What do they actually look like? I mean, the picture, I'm looking at page
That's-
21.
Those are for the arts.
Are they metal storage units? I'm
Well,
looking at
in
page
each
21.
classroom, on the top left, they have mobile bookcases. There's 4 in each
No,
classroom.
that's not it.
No, you're looking at the utility
looking at
ones.
this.
That's for the arts. They're utility over there, like here, they're in the custodian as well. They're metal shelving, heavy duty, because they're gonna have artwork supplies and et cetera to be on it. So they're not like the individual classrooms that are mobile and they have a whiteboard and stuff. They're more used for all the art supplies.
Okay, so they're not in a regular classroom, they're specific to.
Just in the arts and just in the arts room.
And then I wanted to know the workshop that you have for the custodians. What's that made out of? It's not fiberboard, is it? Is it something sturdy
The
that'll
work
last?
table, the work
The,
table,
actually, the
workbench.
cupboard, Oh, I'm
sorry.
Where you have tools in it.
Oh, the wooden one, that's a
Is that
heavy
fiberboard?
duty, no, it's solid wood.
Solid wood?
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Okay, well, because if it's fiberboard, it'll get,
No,
it'll get ruined in a
no.
short period of
It's-
time.
It's holding tools.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wanted to check on that. All right, thank you.
If I can just ask, how many pre-K classes are there at Baldwin now? None, right? So how many preschool teachers or pre-K teachers and where did they come from? Not, were they Pawtucket pre-K teachers that came in to help you with the design? And did you have multiple? Because we're gonna open up, I think, 4, correct? 4 pre-K? Oh, okay.
Mike, if you just want to come up to the mic since you were involved in the.
The pre-K was a little before me, but I understand that it was the pre-K director was here at the time, and it's all per ride specs that they need to have. It's very specific
Because
laid out.
these are ride pre-K classrooms that we're having.
No,
Pre-K specs are pretty.
yeah.
Yes, that's what
So
I was
that was done. There's their playground, everything,
From
the
the
pre-K
toilet
was
to the-
done prior
How
to
things
me
Yes.
getting there
bolted in, everything
Yeah.
is
with specs that were done, so.
Wonderful,
And,
thank you.
and this did involve a lot of teachers going through. We did have 3 sample classrooms, full classrooms of sample furniture from various different companies that have come in and dropped it off. We had them for half a year. So teachers got to really try, students got to try. We moved it around a little bit to different rooms, so there was a good amount of sampling of the things you see here.
But ride basically, I just want to know because if we haven't had a pre-K at Baldwin and we're gonna open it up, because I know we got something.
Yeah.
All right, so I didn't, because.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Shalalo? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
One more.
Okay. Ms. Manolo.
So, she showed the library furniture, and I know this isn't something that we can address, but the library holds 10,000 books. So, I believe Baldwin has nowhere near 10,000 books. Do you?
Discussion if we want to discuss
Yeah.
making sure we have.
Once
the
it
books
gets
too.
closer
Mhm.
to see what we're doing with books.
There's no other discussion on the package. We now could approve to go out for RFP. I would encourage a motion made to include the modification as discussed for room 2620. It's a motion to approve as discussed by Mr. Shalal. It was seconded by Ms. Manolo. Was that motion clear, Ms. Liss, to get? Okay. There's no further discussion. We can have a roll call vote.
Ms. Vinolo. Ms. Carney. Mr. Shalal. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Ms. Doobie.
Yes, the motion carries. Thank you so much for the presentation. The next item is approval to pay lunch balances with enterprise funds. Second, motion to approve. I seconded my own. I was looking to see where the person is who's presenting, and I was realizing it's Ms. Ramsey. Okay. Did a motion to approve already by Ms. Manolo. It's been seconded by Ms. Grant. Ms. Ramsey, do you want to just give us a little bit of clarification here?
I can. I will review what is written in your packet for the record, and then I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. At the completion of the school year 23-24, the district has accumulated a student negative lunch balance of $250,431.56. The nutrition fund is an enterprise fund that must be self-operating, and if negative balances contribute to the deficit, we need to fund with the program with non-federal monies. However, Rye Nutrition stated again this year that the district will be allowed to write off negative balances created in '24 within the school nutrition fund balance. After discussion with the superintendent, we are requesting approval to fund the negative lunch balance of $250,431.56 directly with the nutrition fund, This fund is expected to have a surplus again next year, estimated based on projections of about 1.1. Annually, when the negative balances were funded, it was funded with non-federal money such as this. In previous years, the school committee has funded negative balances, and you can see those documented in 16, 17, 50,000, 18 was 99,420, 20. In fiscal 19, 119, 281.81, fiscal 20, 114, 036.97, fiscal 23, 197, 431.56, and now you are presented with this year's negative balance. So we are asking the school committee to please ensure the nutrition fund with the enterprise and that we pay off the negative balance as listed.
It has been seconded. I just want to clarify a few things that were said, because I think it was a lot, but the enterprise fund, our school lunch fund, must be independent from our general fund. So that has always been the case, that even if that fund runs as a surplus into millions of dollars, the money can only be expended on the school lunch program. As in, it can be expended to upgrade refrigerators, it can be expended to improve the line, it can be expended to improve the food quality, but that money can never move into our general budget. Before COVID, it could not even be used to pay off lunch balances. So even if you had millions of dollars in that account, that money is intended, it is federal money, and is intended to only be used to improve the lunch program. After COVID, when across the country they saw so many districts struggling to pay off those negative balances, they said, we will make a 1 year only exception that you can use that money to pay off the balances. This year they said, we're going to make a 1 more year only exception that you can use that fund. However, they also have said, but I guess it makes sense that if we're saying you can use it for that, you could also use it to cushion any possible cost implications of moving to CEP. As you recall, we just had our bid, and Aramark on their bid said, we don't anticipate you'll have any loss. We anticipate actually you'll see a continued surplus, and we can continue to invest on making sure we have those investments. But that, along with the fact that the federal government has moved to say that it's a 25% threshold for ISP, I did just confirm the superintendent's office has submitted everything needed to RIDE. RIDE has looked it over. We are all set. We will be moving next year. This will be the last time we're voting on paying off this, because if we're voting on things like this, it might be in a future year to move a little bit of the enterprise fund. But because they have said not 1 year only, they've said indefinitely, they see the value of using this enterprise fund to cushion CEP movement. So I do hope the state government gets their act together. I hope the federal government gets their act together, but Pawtucket will be moving to CEP next year, so we won't have this anymore. But
Great job, Mrs. Doobie. That's wonderful.
So I did want to clarify that, because I know that enterprise fund can be confusing. And before COVID, we had to use general fund in order to pay off those negative balances. But this time we will use it. We do have that 1.1 million. So we will use a quarter of it to pay off these balances, and then we'll have it there just in case next year we see any kind of
With one
loss.
clarification, Mrs. Doobie, after we pay this negative balance, our surplus will average around 1 point.
Oh, okay.
That's after.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for clarifying. There was a motion seconded. Any further discussion?
Families that are watching, it means that your babies get to eat free every day. They come to
Exactly.
school.
And we won't have any more of this. And in addition, I have, we have been sitting down in meetings. There are also families that may have money sitting in a lunch account right now.
That is true.
As we know, there are My School Bucks accounts that families have financed. Listen, They haven't been great to work with either, but we were the only way to take credit card payments. So parents may be sitting on $10, $2, $100, it doesn't matter. They will receive a paper home.
They will.
They will receive a paper home that clearly specifies that 20 cents, whatever it is your money. And so you can, we'll be sending out that money back to families. So if that is the case, that you're sitting on money in your account, you will be getting it back. So we were working on that, making sure it's gonna go out so that we can move and then be done with school lunch accounts as they stand.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. Ms. Liz, motion to approve?
Ms. Bonello? Ms. Carney? Mr. Shalal? Ms. Fernandez? Ms. Grant? Ms. Doobie?
Yes, okay, motion carries. Okay, we are now on to discussion items. So the first item is process for tardy students arriving after 9 a.m. I know it has been mentioned already, but at the last meeting, this was brought up. Ms. Fernandez articulated concerns very eloquently about that and asked to have this placed on the next agenda, and that is why it is here. I don't know if Ms. Fernandez, you want to begin as you place this item on the agenda, or if you would like Ms. Ramsey to begin.
I think I made it perfectly clear when I had heard somebody state that the doors are closed or locked at 9 a.m. that that was not something that I was in agreement with and wanted to have further discussion about. I don't think we should be locking any of our kids out of the schools, and I know that Ms. Ramsey was going to explain a little bit more about what that was about.
I will, of course. First, Mrs. Fernandez and everyone, parents, that is not a practice that we condone or support, okay? Through Safe and Orderly Schools, it came up as a late practice that was utilized at one point. We were very clear in our direction to the schools that that is not something that should continue. In a little investigation, I did realize that in some instances, when a parent wasn't able to be contacted, the student was indeed not allowed in. That has since stopped because it is not what the Pawtucket School Department stands for. It is not what we want. We want our kids in school. We want to make those communications with the parents and find out the reasons, the why behind the reason the child is late. We do have a late issue. We have made through Safe and Orderly, I told you we made a couple of changes about encouraging students to come on time. Tardies have gone down, but again, the communication out to families is the primary responsibility and the primary goal, and to get to the why behind it. So it's not as incredibly widespread as the feeling was, and we're certainly not slamming the doors in students' faces, but that practice is not something that we will continue, not something that should be going on, and we will absolutely work through Safe and Orderly to ensure that we have a better, more inclusive practice for students who are late, so we can make sure that we get to the why, because everybody deserves to come to school, and there's a million reasons why students are late at any given time, and it is our school's responsibility to get to that reason and support our students so they can access their education.
Ms. Grant and Ms. Bonello.
So I myself did some research, and I'm embarrassed as a school district that this ever came up at all. It should have never come up. We have a policy, JH, and it states, students are expected to arrive on time. All students who are late for school must report to the main office and properly fill out the late slip. At the elementary level, the office will fill out the late slip on their behalf. Students who are late and have a written excuse from a parent and a guardian stating the date and reason for tardiness will be excused. All other tardies will be unexcused. So it states right here, if a student is late the student will just be marked as unexcused. So whether it's safe and orderly or not safe and orderly, this is not the policy of our district.
You're correct.
And this should have always been followed. And if there was a big change like that, it should have gone to the policy committee or should have been brought to someone's attention. But we should never, never not allow a student to come to school. And it states right here that this committee does not back that. And whoever took that upon themselves to, whether it was a mistake or not a mistake, it should have never been a mistake. It should have never crossed anyone's mind. Unfortunately, I think our district really needs to, people need to start reading the policies and really need to start getting familiar in the positions that they're in. Unfortunately, our schools do lock. When our students come to the building and they have to ring a bell, everyone has to ring a bell to get in. So someone at some point wasn't allowing those students to get in. And that's disgraceful. We all know we're in an urban district and that a lot of these students in our district would rather be at school than at their own homes at time. And for us to turn them away under any reason is completely unacceptable. So I would definitely recommend that everyone in the district read up on all the policies for no matter what position you're in or no matter what the situation is, everyone is aware of what needs to take place in every position, because our students are the most important things. We're in the business of customer service, and the people we are trying to provide the best customer service for is our students and their families. And we failed at this. If we didn't at one time let one student in and turn them away, we failed as a district. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. Ms. Manolo.
My comment is simple, I know this procedure went on in Tolman. I don't know if it went on in any of the other schools. How are you going to communicate to the students that if you oversleep, we understand you still have to come to school?
That'll be something that was worked on all summer in terms of messaging to undo anything that was done. It came up, we learned about it as a practice through the Safe and Orderly Committee. It was immediately told that is not a practice that's going to continue. That wasn't as clear to all people. So it is crystal clear now. Over the summer, we'll work on messaging and a procedure that all schools can follow.
But also getting the information to the students, because if they're used to the policy of, okay, it's 9:05.
I'm not coming.
I'm going back to sleep.
Right.
So why bother going to
Coming
school?
coming to school
They
late.
need to know that they can come in late.
Ms. Fernandez, it looks like you have a question, even though you're not raising your hand.
Ms. Vinolo, than what you kind of said for a long time here on this committee, because you felt very strongly that kids who are tardy needed to be consequenced.
I don't think we need to have attacks on members, but just, so do you, if we have a question to,
So why is this different? It's not an attack.
Just so I'll explain how I became aware of this situation. Okay, so I know when I went to school, we used to have, letters from the parents and stuff like that. So, I don't have a child in the school right now, but I do pick up my granddaughter. And I pick up one of her friends as well, and I'll give him a ride. And I said, "Where is he?" And she said, "He overslept, so he's not in school." So I said, "Well, why can't he go to school when he wakes up?" And she said, "Because at 9 o'clock, they close the door and we can't go in. So the student doesn't go in." So that's you know, that's why it came up, is because it was brought up to me by a high school student as to why they weren't in school.
And I thank you for bringing it to the attention of Ms. Hernandez for ensuring that we have us on the agenda and that, and Ms. Royal, would you like to add to that?
I just wanted to add that, first of all, it was disheartening when I heard that this was a practice. I do not, by no means, support any, like Ms. Grant said, any child being turned away from school under no circumstance. School is a safe haven for a lot of our students. Education is imperatively important. And we have to open our doors, I don't care what time they come. We need to have open arms to welcome our students into the building. The fact that it's just, we have to do what's right for kids, period. And if that was a practice, shame on whoever thought that was right. It's just, I can't even fathom a child coming to the door and one of my employees turn them away from getting educated. Like, I feel it's sickening. And do not support it at all. Definitely will never, ever happen again. And I just felt like I just had to say that because it is not supported, like Ms. Ramsey said. It is definitely will not happen again. But going back to the root cause of what's going on currently, all this is about relationship building. If we do have kids that are coming to school late, we have to pick up the phone and call and see what's going on, helping families understand or helping them to get their child to school. And we have to continue to build relationships with our families, build relationships among ourselves as well, because our kids are constantly watching. More kids watch this committee meeting than I thought. When I started going into schools, talking to kids in the high schools, they watch and they're listening. So we have to do a better job of communicating with each other as well and letting them know we want you in school. I don't care what time you come. Come to school. We need you in school. So I just want to just say that.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Ramsey. We will move on to superintendent evaluation and process. So using Ms. Grant's kickoff, I will talk about policy. So when I first came on, I know many of you have heard this, but one of the things I did was created the policy subcommittee and began systematically moving through our policy manual and working to update policies, remove old policies that weren't needed, and add policies. One that we did not have was a superintendent evaluation policy. So it wasn't one of the first ones we got to. It took us a couple years. It was, if you were on the committee at that time, you know the entire process was about 5 years to do the entire policy manual. The policy was put in place, and the main section that's important says that in accordance with Rhode Island general laws, because it is Rhode Island general law, that to provide an evaluation, the committee will provide a yearly performance evaluation of the superintendent. The evaluation will be based upon goals presented by the superintendent at the beginning of the school year. These goals will have measurable results. In other words, the superintendent will say, you know, I plan to improve this specifically with test scores, et cetera. At the end of the school year, the superintendent will present a comprehensive review of progress made to meet these goals. So this policy was put in place. Unfortunately, we then had some changing. So we had a superintendent leave, then we had an interim superintendent, which this does not cover an interim superintendent. They're not the full superintendent. So the first full year that we could do this, because it isn't just a one thing that happens. It is a full year process, as in we meet, we have this discussion now, the superintendent sets goals, we then, at the end of the year, the superintendent presents and says, these are the goals I set. here is what I've done to meet those goals. In addition, we as a committee can look to get community feedback. We can do surveys to evaluate how well those goals were met. Okay, so it's not just the 7 of us. We did successfully complete this entire cycle. The previous superintendent was here for about 2.5 years after the interim process. We successfully completed it. We were on track to complete it a second year, but then we moved on to another superintendent. The superintendent joined us in July, so it was right after this meeting that we would have had to say, let's set those goals, evaluate at the end of the year. According to how this policy reads, what would happen is we would have maybe an executive session meeting with the superintendent to talk about the tool we want to use. Massachusetts has a standardized tool they use to evaluate all their superintendents. Rhode Island does not. Some other states do. A lot of Rhode Island communities use the Massachusetts tool. We could look at that tool. It has multiple elements to evaluate on based on achievement in the schools, based on community outreach, based on management, all of those elements. We could look at that with the superintendent. The superintendent could then set the goals, and we'd be sitting here in a year to evaluate based on those goals. So I wanted to give kind of the timeline of where we've been as a committee. Pawtucket has a 2-year election cycle, which means that for this to work, you need to have the institutional knowledge that every June we have to be doing this. Hopefully we will have superintendents for long stretches of time, and it will become very normal. When you only have a superintendent for a few years, you might get one evaluation in and then you're moving on to the cycle again. So I just wanted to kind of give that overview, and for anyone who wasn't on it, we did successfully move through this entire process for I think maybe 2021 to 2022, and then 2022 to 2023 was when it was unable to be completed, but it was getting to that point. Okay, so that is all of my sharing from the policy perspective, that where this policy came from, and that ideally every year, so for the people who stick around and are always here, this should be happening every year, that the superintendent sets goals, and those goals are publicly shared. They're publicly shared in a presentation at the beginning of the school year and say, these are my goals for what I want to do for Pawtucket this year. And then at the end, we as a committee, we don't just kind of like say, oh, I like this or I don't like that. No, we look at actual data and what people are saying. We can a lot of communities do a community survey. It's not just us going into schools and asking people what they think. It's actual gathering of information to say, this is what this is what people think, and then we use all of that to complete an evaluation. And it's not meant to be an evaluation that results in, okay, you're on or you're off. It's an evaluation that's meant to say, here's the areas of improvement so we can continue to move this district forward. Okay? Ms. Grant, Ms. Manolo, I know that was a lot. Ms. Carney, Ms. Grant.
I just kind of want to segue off of Ms. Doobie. I am a big opponent. I think evaluations are something that actually are a positive for someone to have. And the reason I think that is, I think it brings people together to have just the honest conversations. I think it keeps the line of communications open. I also think, like Ms. Doobie said, the election cycles are every 2 years. And unfortunately, there's a change on the committees. And I think what happens is if once we do get into the role of being able to do these yearly, and as these are filed away, I think it's an opportunity when new people do come on, they can get familiar with who the superintendent is and what direction she's going in, and in the conversations that we have all kind of shared and agreed on. Sometimes I know people think that evaluations are used as a tool to kind of push someone out. You know, like Ms. Doobie said, when most of us started on this committee, we didn't have this. And it did take some time for us to, you know, get this settled. And we've had some different changes in between. But I think the evaluations each year can really help someone or support someone when there are changes, because it does show that, you know, insight to who and what's been going on. So I just wanted to share that. I also think, like Ms. Doobie said, I think it's nice to get the, you know, other people involved. It's not just about the committee, it's about the community, whether it be students or teachers or our community members. I think this is a process, and that my hope would be that when we go into this, this is something we all just want to use as a positive, because I know that's where I'm coming from. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Manolo?
So isn't there also a contractual obligation with the review? Isn't it part of the contract? Is it part of your contract?
I don't have that in front of me right now, so I'm not sure, but I'm sure we could look into that.
This administration did present us with a strategic plan. So it's not like right now we don't have any idea of superintendents and her team's goals around reading, math, you know, school community engagement, student wellness, all of those goals they've shared with us and our team. And so I think in the, you know, rather than like, I don't also want to be redundant. I don't want to put the committee and the superintendent through a process of sharing goals and a strategic plan, because those would be no different than sharing goals. I'm thinking in an overall, this is what my plans are to do. So when we do look at that tool, just to make sure that it is, you know, just considering the redundancy of the process.
And as I said, Massachusetts really has this down. It's why a lot of Rhode Island communities have gone to Massachusetts. Most states are not having every committee and community come up with their own process. Every single Massachusetts school district uses the same, so our policy is meant to line up with that. So where next steps would be that the chair and the superintendent would talk about a timeline that works for possible discussion of that tool. In the past, that's been something that we vote on. We want to make sure that it's a tool that we feel comfortable using. As I said, that 2-year election cycle means that people sitting here might not be the people using that tool, but it would be the approved tool that would then be used. And that meeting, as it says here, that all meetings when the superintendent's evaluation is discussed shall be held in executive session. This is not discussing performance, but all meetings where that might be discussed are held in executive session unless the superintendent actually explicitly says, I would prefer that this be held in open session. So in the past, all of them, all of the approval of the tool and the evaluation itself happening entirely in executive session, and that is typical. However, a result of it, a report from this committee, would be that final item that we really want to get to, that we could say, here's how we're moving towards the goals. And that would be ideally compiled in coordination, a committee and superintendent kind of release. So big aims for what we're going to do and get that really standardized to move forward. So any questions on this? As I said, next steps would be to kind of set up a timeline for goals, and as Ms. Carney said, to kind of
combine that with the strategic plan really is how we actually did it in the past as well. It was one presentation at the beginning of the school year for the families, for the community, for our staff, for our students, for everyone to see, including us, what the goals of this administration are. As we know, with the change in law, we only have one employee that we kind of oversee, and she gets the privilege of overseeing everyone else. So, yeah. Ms. Bonello?
Would you check contractual?
Well, I
Because
won't, but
believe-
legal will.
Right, and it has a timeline of its own. So we need to set up it in accordance with the timeline in the contract.
So can you please communicate that with the chair so that he can ensure that he places it on the agenda that it needs to go on? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No further questions or comments? The next discussion item, Ms. Bonello, you placed this on the agenda. I don't know if someone else is addressing it, but Flora Curtis Elementary School fence.
Okay, so just, we had, when they were doing the playground, they changed the fence at the back between the houses from 6 feet to 4 feet. The teachers have asked that it be returned to 6 feet. I didn't know if it needed to come before the committee to be approved, but they said the cost is covered to put a 6-foot fence there, so.
Well, I would think we would just need to look at whether it exceeds the amount that we need to do an approval process. If it doesn't, then, yeah, so that's
Do you know
just
the
language
cost?
that. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's under, so, but if around isn't a specific number, so I guess if, once you have, Colliers brings it to us if there's something that needs to be approved, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There's monthly vendor report, there's budget transfer report, there's enrollment report. Any questions on any of those 3 items? Seeing none, we will move on to superintendent's update. Superintendent.
Thank you. All right, just a couple of things. First of all, on May 21st, May 21st, students from Tolman and Shea were honored by College Board for their excellence in the AP coursework at the State House. So we are continuing to expand our AP courses, and congratulations to our students for being honored at this prestigious award ceremony. Awesome. Let's give it up for our students, AP courses. Right. In addition, all high schools celebrated with students and family staffs their honor nights, and we're still engaging in honor nights as we speak now. We engaged and have been enjoying celebrating our honorary members, not only at our high schools, but also our elementary schools and middle schools. So we're celebrating across our district, so if you can, please attend and participate. Because these are definitely cherishable moments that students hold on for life. Also, congratulations to the boys volleyball team on their awesome win. We have been kicking, okay? Our sports team have been kicking this year. So we are definitely Pawtucket strong. Bravo to the coaches and our players. Just simply outstanding. Congratulations to our boys volleyball team on their awesome, awesome season and win. Our Pawtucket educators engaged in the 8th session of their PD series. I think I saw Melissa earlier. Spanish for Educators. Our educators are lifelong learners, and Melissa Lavassier has been fantastic, an awesome trainer for our teachers. I've been peeking my head in and say hola to the team, but they're doing their training. Thank you all for participating in those trainings, because we know that's what's needed for our students and our families. So thank you. The sports banquet was held May 29th at the Pawtucket Country Club for Shea and Tolman Schools. Congratulations to our sports team for leaving your mark on this world. Thank you to our coaches who have worked so hard and diligently for providing our students with excellent world-class sports program. Thank you to our leaders and our teachers and our families for all of your support throughout this school year with our sports program. We could not have done it without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's give it up. Also, congratulations to our seniors who were recognized at our General Dynamic Electric Boat Signing Day at the State House on June 3rd. It was a phenomenal. Ms. Grant was able to join me. The Electric Boat is a recognized leader in design, construction, and life cycle support of submarines for the U.S. Navy. So our gentlemen, most of them, I think we had 2 girls out of the 16 students who have started their careers, not a job, a career. So congratulations to our Electric Boat students who are starting their careers, and we're looking forward to having more next year. So thank you. Baldwin students performed at PPAC on Monday, June 3rd at 6 o'clock, the Disney Musicals in Schools. Teachers, students, and staff worked diligently to ensure our students were prepared for this big event that night. It was a huge success. Thank you to our families and our teachers and members who helped make that such a huge, wonderful success. In addition, graduations. We've had graduation for high schools Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had the honor of graduating over 500 seniors. Let's give it up for our seniors this year. Graduating high school is a pivotal milestone that opened doors to numerous opportunities for our youth. It signifies the completion of foundational phase of education, equipping students with essential skills and knowledge needed for higher educational, vocational training, and even the workforce. They have worked very hard in receiving their degrees and their diplomas. Teachers, thank you for all the hard work and dedication that you poured into those boys and girls. As they walk across that stage, they were all cheese. Even got some photo opportunities on stage with a couple of our students, but it was such a joyous occasion. Thank you, families, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandmothers, grandparents, everyone. It was such a joyous occasion. It reminds us of what we do and why we do what we do every day. So thank you so much for your dedication in getting those kids across the stage. Because we have to do this together, every student, every day. Summer learning is coming. So boys and girls, families and friends, summer learning, July 1st through July 31st. Monday through Thursday, we will have summer learning. Summer school sites are as follows. Winters, Baldwin will be going to Winters. Green Elementary, Cunningham will be going to Green. Curvin Elementary, Curtis will be going to Curvin. Potter Elementary, Fallon will be going to Potter. Veria Elementary, Little will be going to Veria. Jinx Middle School will host Golf and Slater. And Tolman will host JMW and Shea for our summer learning program. Transportation will be provided for summer learning. So we're also offering our summer learning enrichment opportunities for our students as well. So we will continue to have our Cozy Summer Enrichment Program for our rising grades 1st through 6th grade students. The theme, we have a theme this summer, is Adventure Awaits. So students participating in district's morning summer ELA program are eligible to join Cozy program in the afternoon. We will also be offering a citywide middle school band chorus program for our rising 6th through 8th grade students. So this program is designed to provide students with enriching experiences. Please contact your child's school if you have any questions regarding summer participation for your boys and girls. It is important that we bring our students in school. Our teachers are going to be ready for you all. We're going to focus on enrichment as well. So getting kids to be prepared for the next upcoming school year. So parents, please, if you can, please send your students to schools this summer. Also, I just want to touch up on a couple of things that I heard earlier, starting with translation. We are continuing to translate forms. I've been working with Karen Stern, our director, MLL. Also Hirsch, my chief of IT, constantly trying to find those programs that we can implement in our district to help translate. In the meantime, we're going to continue to translate those forms as quickly as possible. Also, to address, I think it was a concern about our instructional resource teachers that will be in every school this upcoming school year. So let me go back to the interventionists, because we did have interventionists, and I'm going to go back to how we ended up where we are. And I think Aaron touched on a little bit about we have different pots of money designated for different purposes. We have federal funded dollars that were misappropriated when it came to some of our interventionists. For example, one of our schools had 3 interventionists that should not have had 3 interventions because the federal dollars were not allocated to that particular school. Someone took it upon themselves to take that money away from another school that was supposed to receive those federally appropriate funds to meet the needs of that school and those families and those students, and gave it to another school for whatever reason. That led to what I walked into was a Title I audit. When we got a Title I audit, and I don't know if anybody been to audits, I've been through a couple of them this year. It can be very daunting at times, but they get to the bottom of every penny. And when they are covered that we use those funds inappropriately, that is illegal. I don't take it lightly. So when those Title I funds were used inappropriately, yes, now I have to right the wrong, basically. And I'm getting hit for it left and right. I am not here to do disservice to our students. I come here every day and work my hardest for not only my students, my families, my teachers, and my leaders. You may not agree with some things that I do, but it's going to be what's best for kids all the time. I get input. I love input. We have to do this together. When I say together, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I cannot do this job by myself. I am only one person. I put my clothes on just like everybody else in this room. I am a mother. I am a daughter. I am a sister. I care for my family. I care for my mother. I'm human just like everyone else. So this is a hard job. What we do is very hard. We're coming off a pandemic. We're trying to help our families. When Aaron stepped to me about the Title I, about the CEP, I wholeheartedly was like, oh my God, that would be perfect. I couldn't understand for the life of me why we only had 7 schools getting free lunch and the others were not. So yes, I wholeheartedly think every child should eat for free. That's the atmosphere I come from. Every kid ate for free when I was a principal. So it will take time. Research says it takes 3 to 5 years to turn a district around to really meet the needs of kids and teachers and leaders. My leaders need help growing, teachers need help growing, students need help growing. In order to improve student outcomes, and I'm so happy to hear about this evaluation, and we talk about data, because data is frowned upon. But at the end of the day, that's what we use as a gauge. We currently are graduating 69% of kids from the Pawtucket schools. We can do so much better. We got the people in place. Do we need to tweak some things? Do we need to learn some things? Of course. It's insanity to do the same thing and expect a different outcome. That's insane. So do we need to train? Most definitely. Heck, I'm going through training this summer. Everybody needs to be better. Most leaders are lifelong learners. I've yet to come across a teacher that has told me, Ms. Roy, I don't want to learn anything else. I know everything I need to know right this very second. I have yet to come across that teacher. Every teacher I have talked to have said, oh my God, you're going to get input from us? Melissa just sent out the input to get feedback from the teachers so we'll know what type of trainings to prepare for them after school next year. I can't train them during the day because that's not what our contract allows. So we have to do it after hours. I'm okay with that. You want training? We're going to offer it to you. That's how you become better. You become a better educator, you better meet the needs of your students. There are a lot of, our kids are coming to different. They're coming in this world different. When my grandmother told me about when she had her 12 children, she would have to go and turn their heads while they're in the bassinet so that they don't get, sores or bed sores, right? My grandchild was born 6 months ago. She came out with her head turned and looking at everybody in the room. It's a different world. And we have to be willing to accept medicine is changing. I always tell my husband, every time they change the Apple phone, the world has shifted. We cannot continue to do the same thing in education and expect a different outcome. Our kids are coming to us differently. My daughter, my other granddaughter, she's 2. She can use the Apple phone way better than I can. She's 2. So we have to evolve with our children. We have to evolve with the world. That's how we provide a world-class education. We can't keep doing things the same and expect a different outcome. Data, we're gonna use data. Now I really have to use data. That's gonna be part of my evaluation. So I have to use data. I'm happy to use data because that is what tells the story as to what we're doing. Do we need to pivot what we're doing? Yes, this is how we're gonna pivot, and that's what data helps us to determine. So data is a good thing. Training is definitely a good thing. Coaching is a good thing when it's done right. Because we got some different coaches, but when it's done right, it's a good thing. And I'm going to be leaning on my teachers, my teacher leaders, all of them here. The whole Ron and his team is here. Those are the people I listen to. Ron calls me, I call him, I listen. Now, I may not be able to pivot on the dot, or I may not be able to give you exactly what you want, but I'm listening. I am a collaborative leader. I believe in the work that we're doing because our families are worth every minute of our day. These kids deserve it. They earn it. It's their right. So when I heard about the 9 a.m., I just died. Like that was just, I couldn't believe it. So to know that someone in our district thought that was okay, that's okay, because that's what training does. It will train that person on, okay, when you did it, this was the result, this was the impact. I am a kid that comes from this very same environment. This is my environment. This was my life. So I know what some families have to deal with. And guess what? And those of you who don't, can still do the same thing. Educate. That's how we learn from each other. I don't want the same people. I always tell my leadership team, I don't want anybody sitting at my table nodding their head yes because I said it. They'll tell you that. I want leaders sitting at my table who's going to push my thinking. We need to push each other thinking because that's how we get to the best for our kids. I was taught good, best, better. You got to do better to get to the best. So yes, I had to go off on a little tangent because I hear some things where I'm always feeling as though I'm constantly on the defense. But guess what? I'm okay with that because I'm here for these kids. I could fight, I can do whatever because I'm here for these kids. And I can lay my head down every single night knowing that I've done the best I could for my families and my students and my teachers and my leaders. They're all very important to me. So on the contrary, it may be told, oh, Ms. Roy don't care, come ask me. I care about every heart. I love Ron Beaupre to death. Now he may get on my nerves every once in a while, but I love that man to death because at the end of the day, he cares about his kids. And that's what it's going to take. I don't care about us disputing or not agreeing. It doesn't matter to me. That's how you get to what's best. So I'm going to continue to do this work. Like Aaron said, the turnover too, hopefully y'all keep me. I'll leave when y'all kick me out the district. But until then, I'm here to do this work. It's hard. Lord knows this job is hard. We need the support of the city, the mayor, city council, the families, the parents. It takes us all. It takes the whole entire village. I heard that earlier. It takes the whole entire village to get what is needed for our families. So I just want to say thank you for your time, for listening. Thank you for believing in me. I am the first Black female superintendent in this state. This district gave me this opportunity. You all stepped outside of the norm to give me this opportunity, and I will be forever grateful for this opportunity. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Carney, you get to go next.
Okay,
School
I
committee
actually
members
have
update.
2 updates. I was going to do one first, but I'm going to continue to file. I had taken quite a few notes here in response to the concerns over the student resource as well. It is my understanding that the schools do still have an interventionist, maybe not as many as they had before. I also will say that looking at, if you don't know what I do for a living, is I'm an executive coach. I oversee schools, leadership training, district training, from science of reading to the nuances of how an individual student learns. I've had hour-long conversations of examining and kid watching and looking at data and listening to kids read. And I've also had the pleasure to be the curriculum director here in this city for this district. So I can tell you that the research shows that good, quality, consistent coaching has a direct impact on student outcomes, particularly when it is also in place with an interventionist. You are then looking at the micro and the macro, and everyone's rowing in the same direction. I don't know, to your point, I wrote here, good teachers want to get better. I want to get better. And I'm shocked that a teacher organization would not think a solution with Title II money, which is intended to support teachers. We are spending money for federal and state money that is given to us for that purpose. That's the money that's being used to say my teachers don't want more training, or to say my teachers shouldn't get more training, or that we should not invest that money that's earmarked for teacher training to make those teachers the best teachers that they can be every single day. So I am in full support, Superintendent, and thank you to your staff for finding a solution, because our schools were not moving as fast as they need to. And I will tell you, kids are years behind. And I just sat through a training that showed a disaggregation of children, white, Black, Title I schools, that looked at mass data in large districts across the country. And white students with IEPs and white students who are MLLs are pulling ahead faster and closing gains than Black students. To 100 years difference it would take some of our 8th grade students that are years behind if we do not give them the proper coaching from the best teachers they can have, as well as interventionists. And my job every day, I work on Tier 2 and Tier 1. And I coach teachers directly. I had a teacher I do a final reflection day. I'm in Vermont, I'm in Connecticut, and I'm in New York, in all different types of districts, rural classrooms and urban classrooms. And I had a teacher this year on the reflection day. I asked them 3 questions after coaching with me all year. Each of these schools got 12 days with me, and I don't even live in the state. But I am there 12 days and made relationships with these teachers and found out what they needed and sat in there operating PLCs with them and had teachers looking at data and talking about kids case by case and cohorts and outliers and all of those things. And I had a teacher, a 5th grade teacher, burst into tears because I told her she changed the trajectory of her kids' lives. Out of 17 kids in her classroom, she had 4 kids who grew over 2 years in their reading levels in 1 year. The classroom teacher, based on coaching and her getting better to meet those students' needs every single day when I can't be there. An interventionist cannot be in the classroom all of the time. Teachers need to be able to use those tools and those skills all the time. So I am a huge proponent of the coaching. I do hope it is, and I know it will be, because I have faith in this administration, that it will be a coaching model that is research-based, that it is being overseen, that the data is there and accountable, that we're looking at MTSS and RTI, so we're working in tandem with the interventionist, the classroom teacher, the coach, the principal, because it takes all of those people with all the eyes on it to show the growth and to move the growth. So it's very black and white and unfair to say that we are removing interventionists in order to put in coaches. That is not true.
And if we are going to stand up and make facts and testimony, then they need to be correct, and they cannot be swaying an emotional response to a monetary solution that's good for teachers and kids. So let's, think about what we're doing before we just come up and start making accusations about, not caring about kids or teachers. So, sorry, everyone here tonight has been a little excited, a little passionate. I think the vibe is in the room. I am feeling the vibe. So the last thing I'm going to say is thank you so much to the Goff teachers and Mr. Bergeron and his staff, who I was at the awards night the other night. I was so impressed with how they talked about kids. It wasn't just an academic achievement. They gave awards for character. They gave awards for perseverance. They gave awards for students who come to school after school every day because they are learning a new language, new to this country, and they gave students awards for perseverance. I was just so blown. If that's how teachers talked and principals talked about kids, and Mr. Bergeron saying, I'm gonna say, you rock, you rock, you rock, and they're gonna say, you're gonna say, you rock, everyone rocks in this room. That is what I wanna see when I go to schools. Kids chanting. And I years ago showed a TED Talk. There's a principal in Philadelphia, Strawberry Hill School, and it's an amazing TED Talk. And it says that principal walked into a school with a lot of challenges, and every day she said over the intercom, if no one told you that I love you today, no one told you they love you today, know that I do. And he closed the night with that. And that is how I want all of us to talk to every single kid. Every kid has a bad day. Every teacher has a bad day. We're all in crisis. But I will tell, and I love every adult in this room, and I love every kid in our school. And if no one told you today, know that I love you. Good night.
Okay. Ms. Fernandez.
Follow that? Come on. I usually say I don't have anything, but I did want to talk about a little bit about my experience at Shay's Honors Night. It was my first time attending as a school committee member. It was amazing. There were parents in the room, like, just so excited that their kids received scholarships. It was amazing. And there was one teacher, I don't know her name, and I wish that I did, who was in the audience in the front row. And every kid, no, I shouldn't say every kid, but most of the kids, every time they got an award, she would jump out of her seat and she would cheer and she would give them a big hug. It was such a good feeling. It was such a good night, and I left there feeling really good because we hear so many bad things about Shay and Tolman, and that was amazing. It was nice, and I was glad I was there. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good job.
Ms. Bonello.
To me next. So, we've all been busy. It's that time of year. So, I was honored to go to the Tolman, JMW, and Shay graduations. And at the Tolman graduation, I was able to give my granddaughter her diploma, which was wonderful. I had given my daughter hers when she graduated. And if I have to do it for my other granddaughter, I have to be here another 10 years. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I also, in this period of time, I went to see Finding Nemo at Winters. I was so looking forward to going to Baldwin. I'm sorry I had to miss it. But the Disney presentations that our elementary schools put on are amazing. I don't know if they're funded for next year. I heard they're not. So it's going to be a big loss. It was Curvin, Baldwin, and Winters that was doing it with PPAC and Disney. So, but they were wonderful. I went to them all last year, and they were just absolutely wonderful. I also had the opportunity of going to the Poetry Slam that was put on by, it was World No Tobacco Day, and it was put on by our elementary students. They all competed. And it was amazing. I mean, one of them got up there and rapped theirs, and another one got up there and she was so passionate. It was amazing to see this coming out of our elementary students. And I think it's great that they have that ability to stand up there in front of people that they don't know and present themselves in this manner. And the other thing I went to was the 2024 Teen Hall of Fame, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. And so I do want to mention one thing. So because it's not on the agenda and someone has mentioned it and someone has sent us a couple of emails, and they get answered by one person and then they get answered by another person. There is a thing called the Open Meetings Act, and if we're not in an open meeting like we are tonight, and a subject comes up and more than 3 of us discuss that subject, then we're in violation of the Open Meetings Act. So if people send us emails, it was questioned why they didn't answer all, is because if they answered all, then we would be in violation of the Open Meetings Act because you're contacting more than just one person or 2 people or 3 people. When we hit 4 people, we're in violation and we can be fined for that. So that is the reason why if one person answers you and they don't include the rest of us on it, it's so we're not in violation. So, and that will happen. So, and that was all I had to say for tonight.
Mr. Shalal.
Thank you very much. Most meetings, Joanne usually says everything I'm about to say. Tonight, I'm actually the superintendent. You hit on some stuff, Ms. Connie, Ms. Fernandez, Joanne, I'm sure Kim. But I do want to take a moment and actually say some words. One, I had the pleasure of attending Tolman's graduation and giving a speech at my alma mater at Shea High School. I felt good. Parents came up to me, told me, but I gave the students the speech, and as you said, education can open up doors. That diploma that they are going to receive is going to give them opportunities. The number 1 and number 2 person at State 901 are graduates of Shea High School. That is impressive. That's incredible. I usually am the court gesture, but tonight there's a lot of very important and passionate issues that were spoken at that podium tonight and amongst ourselves. And I don't want to dive into that. I wasn't prepared for that, but I did want to acknowledge August. I had the privilege of opening up the schools with the superintendent's team. We were able to go with the team, and I want to bring it back just a little bit. I'm going to put some ice on the temperature of this room right now. Superintendent, I want to thank you. I want to thank your team. I want to thank the custodial staff, the non-certified for this school year. I want to thank each member of this school committee for this past school year. Teachers, I welcomed you into the schools that day in August. A good friend of mine, she told me there's this thing called first day or the night before anxiety or jitters. I never experienced it before since I graduated from high school, but some of your teachers, I had to not only witness it, I had to deal with it. I didn't realize there was such anxiety, and so I had to deal with that with my friend. So I understand what you had to deal with. And it's because of your passion for the kids that you're about to come in. You were as excited as the kids were coming into your classrooms. I want to take this moment. I welcomed you in. I want to say thank you for a school year. Thank you for the tough job you do day in and day out. Administrative staff also. All the challenges that we heard just today, but that's from just today, from what we heard. We've heard stuff, all different topics, different issues, all year long. You guys have been bombarded with stuff. I mean, geez, when it first started, we had a $50 million school leak on us twice. And we persevered through that. But I want to thank the teachers, the non-certified, for having a very successful school year this year. Thank you for all you do, day in and day out. We truly appreciate you. With that, I'm done. Thank you.
Ms. Grant.
These are very hard speeches to follow. First of all, I want to congratulate everyone in the district from preschool all the way through to high school. These last few weeks, graduations, honors, all the different celebrations that have been going on. I want to thank, the schools and the principals and the teachers that invite us to these ceremonies. I know when I get an invitation, I feel very blessed to be a part of all this. Unfortunately, I do feel very sad a lot of times that I am unable to make it to some things. If you don't know anything about me, this is one thing I'll share is this is the time of year when it comes to my job, it becomes very busy, whether it be the weekend or it's the nights during the week. So it makes it difficult to go to some of these events, but I have been blessed to be able to go to a few of them. I, like Ms. Spinolo, Mr. Shalal, Ms. Fernandez, Ms. Doobie, Ms. Carney, I don't know if you spoke at anything, but I also myself have been able to attend and speak at JMW's graduation, which I felt very blessed to be a part of. The energy in the room was just, my face hurt at the end of it. Every student that came across that stage was just, the energy was just amazing. But all of our students are amazing and they all deserve to be able to grow and have these opportunities. I'm trying to think of the other thing the superintendent did touch on. I did have the opportunity to go to the State House and see the young men and women from Tolman and Shea have a signing night with Electric Boat. The school committee isn't involved in the everyday of what goes on. And if you don't have a particular child involved in that particular situation of what's going on, you really aren't aware of what's going on. So when I went that night, I just had no idea. First of all, the students were just so welcoming when they were all called up individually, Speaker of the House, and it was just amazing. But at the end of it, a woman from Electric Boat actually got up and spoke. And she said to these students, which made me proud to be a part of this, but these young men and women were going to be graduating and starting a job. But these were not just any jobs. These were jobs that were going to be able to afford them to either live at home for a couple of more years with their parents and save some money or get an apartment. These were good jobs that this district supported and worked very hard to bring into our community so our students would be able to have this opportunity. And like the superintendent said, hopefully we're looking to have this program grow as we see all the CTEs in the district. But when our students are graduating, like someone had mentioned tonight about JMW, these students are going to colleges that are just, they're amazing. Some of us would only dream to be able to go to those. Getting jobs, going into careers. They're leaving our school district with trades, with education, with diplomas, with direction. And that's what we need to keep doing. And we need to make sure all of our students have that opportunity. So I just, again, want to thank everyone. The school year is closing. I'm hoping everyone has a great summer. And hopefully we'll see everyone back at the end of August, early September. So I hope you all have a great night. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
to Ariel Castillo, who connected us with Electric Boat and made it happen. Like, he got us right up under the gun. That's why we were able to get the 16 students. So this year we should have a lot more. But thank you, Ariel.
So I will wrap up. I've already said plenty tonight, so I'll be brief. Education is the only field I've ever worked in since I was 22 years old. Like a lot of people who are sitting out in the audience right now, it's the only world I've ever known, and I don't know what it would be like to work in a world that doesn't have this entire life cycle every year. You know, it feels like you walk in on the first day, and then 9 months, 10 months later, you're suddenly, you know, at the end. And then it can be sad, it can be exciting, you know, you're moving into the summer, but every year there's that rebirth that comes in, that restart every single year. It's why I love this field. I mean, even at the college level where I am now, you know, it's that excitement of I can try new things, I can be better, I can work harder, and you get that reset button every single year. And so this is our meeting, we're completing that year. It's been a big year. It's been a year with a new leader. We have a lot of new faces here joining the Pawtucket team, and yeah, and now it's the end of that year, and we go into like our little hibernation. Because I mean, I know you're all working, but you know, but we go into this hibernation where, you know, a lot of us kind of step back. I know we moved to just one meeting a month, you know, everything kind of quiets down. But I know your team's gonna be working hard to get ready for that new walk-in. I know I already sit there with, you know, my syllabus thinking about, you know, what I want to change, what didn't work, because even after 2 decades of teaching, you know, it's every year is like, I think I finally figured out how I could do that better or that better. And so I think that it's such an exciting field to be in, and I'm so proud of everybody who continues to show up for it, because it's hard too, you know, but I'm glad that we're completing it, and I look forward to filling Mr. Charbonneau in on how much he missed on his very well-deserved vacation at this meeting. So I will, it is only 8:34, everyone. I know it might feel later, but it is quite early. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. In the name of Mr. Schiller, Ms. Bonello, second by Ms. Grant. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned as of 8:34.